Oh God, let this not be true, I thought, as I maneuvered the car into the traffic jam and out of it. He can't be serious. Or can he? Just half an hour ago, I was working at the bank, helping a family secure a loan for their first home. Then the phone rang. The police. They had seen my husband at our house with a gun. A gun? Yes, ma'am. A neighbor came to pick something up and saw him. It seems he's threatening suicide. We need your help to talk him out of it. Suicide. But Connor loved life. He was always so joyful and happy. Why would he? It can't be. I dismissed the thought as I turned onto our street. It was like a real circus. Several police cars lined the road as their passengers surrounded our house. In Mr. Parker's yard, there was even a truck from a local TV station. I tried to walk to avoid the chaos and reach him, but an officer stopped me. Miss, you need to go around. We have a situation here and this is my house. Officer, that's my husband. I interrupted him with a shout. The man looked at me for a second, then gestured for me to pass. I parked the car, then got out, but the local media swarmed me. Is your husband too harsh, Mrs. Richards? Has he tried to kill himself before? Is he wanted for any crimes elsewhere? I had no idea how to respond to these people. Why can't they just leave me alone? My husband, my love, he needs me, but they swarmed around me, preventing me from reaching him. An officer grabbed my hand and saved me from the vultures. He led me to a van across the street from my house. Outside, around a small table, several men were talking. I can position a sniper in the house right here. Should be able to shoot from here. We're not here to kill him, another man replied. We need to help him. He poses a danger to himself and to us. If he attacks my people, then no. I shouted at them. Everyone turned to look at me. When they began to ask who I was, a young female officer answered them. This is Mrs. Richards. Oh, thank you. Carrie, approached me the second man. Ma'am, my name is Toby Curtis. I'm a negotiator from the local police department. May I have a word with you? The first person stopped him. We need to know how many weapons he has. Maybe he's got a whole arsenal and we don't have a gun. I interrupted. I don't know where he got the one you say he has. He must have bought it today. That's good. We can check the local gun stores. And Rick, could you let me do my job first before you start shooting? My facial expression seemed to stop this Rick. Were they seriously planning to shoot my husband? Come this way, Mrs. Richards. Toby led me away. I need to ask you a few questions. Has your husband been depressed lately? No, not really. I lied to myself. I should tell them no. They don't need to know that. He sighed. Ma'am, may I call you Jennifer? I nodded. Did you know that your husband quit his job 2 days ago? No, he couldn't have. We talked last night. He was so happy and, you mean he was happier than usual? Well, we had some issues, but I resolved them, and we got back to better. He was happy. What issues? Sir, that's irrelevant to Jennifer. I hate to pry, but the more information we have, the more we can help your husband. Another officer rushed over to us. Hello, Toby. We've made contact with this person. How? I thought the phone wasn't working. Somehow he has a signal going to the live truck across the street. They say we can use their equipment if they can get an exclusive for the broadcast. I don't like this. How could he have transmitted a signal? My husband worked at the station. He was an engineer on their truck. He installed half of that equipment. So if anyone could, he could, I replied. I don't think I hid the pride in my voice for his intellect. They led me to the news truck. It was very much like what I remembered. Inside, one of the pretty reporters who had earlier accosted me was speaking into a microphone, looking at one of the screens. To my horror, Connor appeared on the screen. His appearance had changed so much that I was startled. His chest was bare, and his hair, which usually reached his shoulders, was now almost closely cropped. But what troubled me the most was the gun in his hand. Connor hated guns. He knew I was afraid of them. Why did he have it? Unless fear again gripped my heart. Toby took the microphone from the lady. Connor, this is Toby Curtis. I'm here to help you. Shut up. Connor's voice was unlike anything I had ever heard from him before. It was filled with anger, pain, and even despair. A voice I would expect from someone deranged, not from my loving husband. I know what you're doing. You're trying to stop me, but I cannot be stopped. I must do this myself. I can't go on. I can't live with what I've done. I can no longer forgive this. She won't forgive me. I can't forgive myself. Connor, who is she? Is it your wife? Jennifer is here. I can put her on if you want. You can talk to. Oh, you can't fool me. She isn't there. You're just tricking me. She won't won't come. How can we prove that she's here? Connor, show her to me. Let me see her. We can't do that, Connor. Not with your gun. Her safety, then put her on air. Put us in a split screen. Toby turned to the girl. What is he talking about? Oh, it's common for TV news. He'll be on one side of the screen and she on the other. That way they can talk to each other. Set it up. Give us 3 minutes and we'll be live. On air. You mean live? I asked, wondering what was happening. Darling, how else is he supposed to see you? The next few minutes were a blur. They set up cameras and spoke on the phone with the station. The next thing I knew, I was in front of the camera with this strange device in my ear, all make it up and waiting for something. Anything. Suddenly, I heard a voice in my ear, Connor's voice. Is that you? Dear, are you really here? Oh, Connor, what are you doing? I'm doing what I should have done 2 weeks ago. When I woke up next to Sherry, I should have ended it, but I didn't. Now I must pay. I can't stay here. Not after what I've done. No, he was still in it. I told him it was all over. I had avenged him. What would I do if he, dear? It's all in the past. We've moved on. I've forgiven you. You've forgiven me, but I can't forgive myself. I was a good husband, but after the party, I had to ruin everything. I had to too. He was still guilty about it. This thought began to eat at me, joined by my own guilt. I couldn't let him end this. I love him so much. To hell with Sherry and her ideas, if only she hadn't. You know the funny thing, dear, I can't remember it. All I remember is that the next day I felt so terrible. That was all you drank, dear. You weren't in your right mind. Drunk. You couldn't control what happened, but I could have. And look what I've done. I broke my vows and made you break yours too. I felt the eyes of people around me, watching me, but I had to continue. He was so upset, so distraught. He was serious. Oh, dear, I should never have done that. But I thought I needed to get back at you. Paul meant nothing, but you liked it. I know you made me listen. I made you degrade yourself. What kind of man does that? Dear, we can get through this. My revenge was foolish. I should never have listened to Sherry about Sherry. I thought you weren't talking to her anymore. Damn it, I had to start explaining quickly. She came to me. She apologized. She said I needed to get back at you. I think her own pain made her say that. Jen, I love you, but I can't do this. I slept with another woman. I broke your trust. I deserve to die. I can't live with this knowledge. His words wounded me deeply. Then, to my horror, he pointed the gun at his head. No, he was going to. I couldn't let him. These words flew out of my mouth before I could stop them. You never slept with Sherry. Everything was quiet. I think everyone was in shock. No one was more shocked than me or Connor. I can't believe I just told him the truth. I thought to myself. I had sworn never to tell him. What do you mean? I woke up next to her. We were naked. She told me that I couldn't let this continue. She's lying. Then how we drugged you, Connor, to make you think that you cheated. I knew you would never do that, but we thought if you believed you had cheated, you would let me sleep with Paul. I'm sorry, dear, but I just wanted to sleep with him. Nothing more. Why did you do this? What did I do wrong? Nothing. It's all me. Sherry kept telling me what a great lover he was. When we got married, we were virgins. I just wanted to see what I was missing. I'm sorry, dear. You never broke your vows. You're a good person. You were going to let me think I cheated on you? How long had you planned this? How did you drug me? Did you not care? I could have died. Oh, dear. I know you wouldn't have. I almost stopped it all when you were so sick those days. But when you got better, I decided I could continue with the plan. We concocted it about a month or so ago. We couldn't get you interested in Sherry, so we came up with this. I just needed to sleep with Paul. It was something new, and I was so excited. What did you give me? Sherry stole something from the hospital where she volunteers. I don't know what it was, but it worked too well. She tried to lift you up, but you didn't do it. She really waited for you. How long, Jennifer? How long were you planning to let me live in this hell? Oh, dear, I thought if we just did it once, and then I came back to you a few days later, we could get through this. I still love you. Love me. Love me. Connor disappeared from the camera. While waiting for his return, I began to panic. Then I heard our front door slam. Connor was leaving the house. His eyes were wild, and he still held the gun in his hand. The police started yelling at him, but Toby calmed them down. You love me? Love doesn't mean you try to kill me, Jen. You don't try to make someone you love rape some beast. Many officers continued to yell at Connor to put the gun down and surrender. Toby was darting back and forth, trying to stop them. I was wrong, Connor. I shouted back. I need to calm him down, I thought. He will forgive me. He always does. I was just obsessed. I never wanted to hurt you. I ran towards him, but an officer held me back. You made me think I was some damn adulterer. Do you even realize how that killed me? Do you think I hurt you so badly that you sacrificed your fidelity to some stranger to get back at me? Connor began pacing back and forth in our yard. I can't do this, Jen. You betrayed me. You could have killed me. Then you tried to kill my heart, my soul, my love. Now you think we can just go back to normal? What's supposed to happen when you become obsessed again? Could I eventually die just so you can have an affair without feeling guilty? The world around us shrank. There was nothing but the two of us and the pain I had caused. No, it was only once. I would never do it again. Connor, I love you so much, I screamed. I could just see my life disappearing before my eyes. It's all over, Jen. I loved you, and you did this. Goodbye, I screamed as he put the gun in his mouth. I turned away as he began to pull the trigger. I couldn't watch as the love of my life ended at all, because I needed a new thrill. How could I have been so foolish? I waited for the bang, but I heard nothing. I swear the police officer holding me was laughing. I looked at him. He was smirking. I looked at several other officers, and they were all holding back laughter. What were they doing? In horror, I turned to my husband and saw a look of disgust on his face. He started coughing. The image of our cat coughing up a hairball came to mind when he pulled the gun out of his mouth. Lemon, whose damn idea was this? Connor put the barrel of the gun in his hand and pulled the trigger several times. They're all lemon. At that, all the cops laughed. Nice try, guys, but I always carry a spare. Connor pulled a magazine out of the gun. Funny, I always thought magazines for firearms were different. He took out a new one from his pocket and inserted it. Then he put the gun back in his mouth and pressed the trigger. Stunned, I watched as he began to chew. Cherry, love this flavor. He looked at me, then at the shocked journalists. Connor's laughter echoed in my head. Oh, you thought you were called to save me, dear. Remember last week when I was testing all that new security equipment for Max? Well, one of them was an electronic ear. And guess what I heard? You and that beast Sherry talking about your little plot. You kept me on edge. I was at the end of my rope. But then I heard you, and I got angry. The officer holding me took my hands and placed them behind my back. I felt the handcuffs as he put them on. Back then, we couldn't charge you with anything, dear, because it would just be my word against yours. That's when we officers came up with this. Connor pointed to the circus around us. We just didn't expect the news van to show up, but we adapted. He smirked. It was so easy with you. Now we can charge you. My loving wife. I wonder what they'll come up with. I think we talked about it. Toby, aggravated assault. How about possession of a controlled substance? Of course, they'll pin the blame on Sherry. Thanks for confessing. And we broadcast it all live. Do you think your parents were watching? The sarcasm in his voice chilled me to the bone. An officer came up to me and put a blue paper in the pocket of my jacket. You were served at 1418, June 8th. Thank you. Served? No, this couldn't be happening. I just wanted to try another man. To feel young again. To have one last fling before we had kids. Before I became a mother. What? You think I'd stay married to a creature like you? Oh my god, you really think I'm a fool? Connor turned to the reporter. Sorry I tricked you, my dear, but it was the only way. My world was falling apart. This couldn't be happening. This year I had dreams of having children with Connor. I was going to be a little soccer mom with little soccer players. We were going to have picnics and barbecues. I had a husband who loved me. Oh no, oh my god. Let this be a nightmare that I haven't woken up from. What have I done? It wasn't even that good. How can I make him forgive me? As the officer led me away to read me my rights, I heard a response. Oh, is that so? Can I take an interview? Maybe just the two of us? Maybe over dinner. Then I realized that it was all over.
Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments.